All right, at 6:00 p.m., I'm going to call the council to order. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we come before you today in humility and faith. We thank you for all you have given us and the many blessings in our lives. We ask for your guidance and strength. Show us the way and fill us with courage and wisdom. Help us to remember your love and grace and to be faithful in our service to you. Give us the patience and understanding to face life's challenges with grace. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
You may be seated. Thank you all for coming tonight. It is November 7, 2024. I think many people probably didn't know we had a meeting tonight coming so soon after the election, and that's why we have a small crowd. So our election took place on November 5. We had a record number of voters at the polls this year, 1,268. So that's really huge. The summary results for those that didn't watch the election and haven't seen it online: Lisa Parrish for mayor, Troy Smith for place 1, Bob Chapman won for place 3, and Johnny Shaw for Ward 2. So we will be discussing setting the date to canvass the election results under 7B later on in the meeting. Also passing are 8 of the 10 charter revisions, and these will be given to the attorney and a plan made to update the charter and make it available to the public. Another announcement, our Christmas market plans are well underway. The date is Sunday, December 1st from noon to 6 p.m. So far, I think we had 54 vendors, somewhere around there, and 60 booths reserved so far. And I think we've even gotten a few more since then. So they're still coming in. So we've redrawn our maps right now to allow for up to 84 vendor booths at present. So we're going to see if we meet that number or not. So we're going to need volunteers from the community to help set up tents on that day and decorate that Sunday if anyone is interested. So let me or Kit know if you're willing to and able. We'll probably start decorating about 8 a.m. on Sunday, December 1st. Our new city manager, Jonathan Seitz, is here tonight, and he will be starting on Monday, November 18. I'd like to talk with council at some point to plan a get-to-know-you reception for him and invite the public to attend maybe during his first week. So we might be able to coordinate this when we also plan our canvassing of the election when we get to that item tonight. Just to let everyone know, on October 31st at Starfest, right before Starfest, the event, I issued a proclamation to Paul Chan. And I just wanted to briefly tell you about that because it wasn't done publicly, it was done privately at Mr. Chan's house. Mr. Woon's son, Paul Chan, moved from China to Hong Kong in 1950 and served in the Hong Kong Police Auxiliary for 9 years, and then as an employee of the Department of State for 19 years. And Mr. Paul Chan immigrated to the United States and settled in Keene, Texas some 42 years ago. Mr. Paul Chan served the educators and students of the Cleburne and Keene Independent School Districts for nearly 30 years in the maintenance department. And Mr. Paul Chan continues to be an active volunteer in the Keene community and stays forever young at heart as a shining example of a friendly neighbor. And Mr. Paul Chan has had a lifetime of love for the fire service. And that's why, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Keene, I imparted my thanks to Mr. Woon's son, Paul Chan, for his lifetime of service, and I recognized him as an honorary Keene fire chief for a day. So if you noticed, he was in the antique fire truck riding around with Philip Jackson that day. So I wanted to share that with everybody that was not aware of that. Okay, that's all the announcements that I have for tonight. Council, do you have any other announcements that you would like to add? Okay, moving on to agenda item number 3, public comments. I did not receive any yellow cards tonight. Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak at this time? Okay, agenda item number 4, reports. Receive and discuss the city manager's report. Mr. Heinrich, are you going to take care of that tonight?
Maybe.
Thank you, sir.
It's been going good. You guys have been working on everything. All the employees are doing their job, and I'm not doing anything out of the ordinary, but helping them when I can. I did look into us getting another water well, and still working on that. We've talked about it before, and the council's probably had it here even when Bernie was here, but we need to find out what his capacity is. Mr. Bells went out and visited with the owner, but the owner's put me in charge in negotiations with the city, and we're going to find out what it pumps and if it has any value to us. And it's just right out here at 3048. But if it's a big well, it would be beneficial to the city, but we'd have to work out all the details and get engineers involved. But preliminary stuff is we're just going to visit it and see if it'll even pump water. So I've done a little sleuthing on that, and
Okay.
we'll continue,
All right.
even after you fire me.
Any questions for Mr. Heinrich? All right, thank you, sir. Moving on, there are no public hearing items, so we can omit agenda item number 5. Agenda item number 6, consent agenda. Council, do you have any items here that you would like to withdraw or remove from the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda as presented by Foster and a second by Easley. Any further? All in favor, raise your hand. It's unanimous. Motion is carried. Agenda item number 7A, review and consider approval of a resolution authorizing the submittal of an application for financial support from the Texas Water Development Board, TWDB, for water system improvements. Mr. Martin, you going to present?
Myself and Mr. Turner from
And Mr.
Jacob and
Turner?
Martin.
Okay.
You should have a staff report in your agenda packet there, and basically what we're asking for is we're asking you to adopt a resolution so we can apply for a Texas Water Development Board water loss mitigation project. Jacob and Martin prepared the application along with Hilltop Securities, McCall, Parkhurst, and Horton, and city staff. The grant amount is $3,523,000 with 10% city funds matching. This grant can be used for replacing old or undersized water lines, helping with our water system. The city's current capital improvement plan that was adopted and passed was used to kind of come up with that figure and what lines would be addressed. So if you have any questions about it, basically we're just asking to adopt this resolution so we can finalize. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, have we already submitted this application?
Yes, so just to kind of explain why, this is a new program that the Water Development Board has. They took money out of the Texas Water Fund, which is just kind of a big pool of money, and created this program for this water loss mitigation, and we had about 2 weeks to get this submitted or lose the opportunity. So we went ahead and submitted it.
Okay.
You have the opportunity to do it or not now, but
I was asking because, yes, I noticed in here there was a deadline of the application of October 21st, and we're past that date.
yeah. And the Water Development Board gave us leeway to get the resolution adopted after the fact, but we have to do it, I believe the date is sometime next week, so
Okay,
we
that's
have to do it
fine.
now or we miss it.
Yeah, and I was explaining to the mayor that in my municipal practice, it's not an uncommon thing to get grant applications or applications that have a short time window. You submit them, you get ratification after the fact. If for some reason if the council doesn't, then you can withdraw it. There's no harm, no foul. But if you don't
Okay.
submit them timely, then obviously you've lost your opportunity.
Exactly right.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. I just saw. Mr. Schramm?
So I'm Wes Schramm, 1002 West 4th Street in Keene here. In doing this, when we do our streets and roads, and that's when our water, a lot of it has to be redone. So it will be specifically earmarked just for water for that portion of the roads, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it can't be used for anything else.
That's correct.
Okay, so how is it that we come up with this 10% of city funds over the course of one budget cycle? How does that work?
Actually, the way it works, the Water Development Board will give you 90% of the money in grant funds. The other 10% is typically a loan that they issue.
Okay,
The city takes a loan out to the Water Development Board for the
okay,
extra 10%.
and then we pay that back
Yes.
over the course of how long?
Your financial advisor is here,
Okay.
so.
Jim Sabonis with Hilltop, and my partner, Andre Ayala, who handles all the Water Development Board transactions for us, and his team actually filled out the application working with these team members. I handed out a paper that he prepared for this. I think he'll explain, and let me say, first of all, I'll say this is the most efficient way, I wish I could borrow like this, that you can actually be involved. And I congratulate your engineers and your planning people here at the city to be proactive. It's very competitive in today's growing economy to get funding at this cost. So what takes place on phase one, on page one is just 5 years of your historical data of your audits. And what I want to say to you is, for a city your size, you have a very efficient system, and you have about 1.3 cash flow as of your 23 audit, and your 24 budget shows about equivalent amount of cash flow that'll be coming. So important to do that, because we want to tell you, do you have to change rates when you do this? The second page shows you what takes place, and what's really taking place is kind of unique, in that they'll actually make a bond to you for the amount of $3,545,000. But there is 90% principal forgiveness. And so if you look at the next page, even though you'll actually deposit $3,460,000 in your project fund, this will be what your debt service payment would be. It's about 10%, and it's paid over this time frame. One thing that I will say is that we actually use a 30-year amortization, and here's the reason why we did 30 years, because the interest rate is predetermined, and so if you went shorter, you wouldn't pay a lower interest rate. So the goal was to stretch it out, because it's only at 4.46%. And as you can see, you currently have about $230,000 of debt service on an annual basis. This will actually add about $23,000. Your coverage will be 4 times, and you're wisely using the remainder to do cash improvement in your system. So in summary, they make the loan, and you give you the money, and it's all done in a loan, but they also, at the time, there's a loan forgiveness document passed that says you don't have to pay back that portion of it. It's through the state and federal subsidies that come into the program. And tonight, the action items, there's 2 action items, and I've always found this kind of amusing personally, because Water Development's there, they're proactively working with your staff. You say you're going to do that, but they do something that somehow makes sense, but I just find it kind of interesting. There's 2 documents you're going to say. One is that you're going to indicate, we are the City of Keene, these are our officials, these are the people that you can officially deal with, your engineer, your bond counsel, your city attorney, your financial advisor, to make sure that they're dealing with the right people, which they already have been. And then the second one is called an affidavit of compliance. And what that states is that we just tell the truth when we put our application in. They want to make sure everybody does. It's a standard operating procedure on every loan that they do, and it's kind of just dotting your I's and crossing your T's. My understanding is that the staff has reviewed this and they've accepted, and they're going to forward this. They just need these 2 legal documents to submit to the board so that the board will go forward from that process. But I think it's, a revolutionarily good program. Someone asked about what the money can be used for. The way Water Development Board works, and I've asked the engineer, correct me if I'm wrong, the money's going to go into an escrow fund. You've got specific projects that he's identified and that will be funded, and money is held, and there's a series of approvals within your city, your engineer, and then you submit a bill to them. So, when they also want to make sure there's a concept called completion, certificate of completion, in that if you're undertaking a project, and just hypothetically that project cost $1 million, and they put $1 million in there, and all of a sudden you submit a draw for $200,000, but you say, I need $900,000 to finish it, they'll actually say, where we can get the funds, let's talk about it. There's some
bad cases in years ago where somebody borrowed money and all of a sudden they only had 2/3 of a, sewer system. So they're very organized to make sure that the money is used only exactly what's legally indicated it would be used for, and that when the money is drawn, that the remainder of the money and the resources that city had will complete the project. So that this projects will be done cost efficiently and they'll be done effectively, if that makes sense.
Question. So this 4.46, is it a fixed interest rate or is variable?
Fixed interest rate for the entire time of the loan with a call feature of about 10 years if you wanted to pay it off early.
So once we are done paying, we'll end up paying $355,000.
You'll pay exactly what is indicated in this schedule here, unless you choose to pay it off early.
Okay. And then maybe last question about this. So about these grants, how does the city, as our small city here, how do we become aware of it? How do you guys normally send an email, or somebody has to go specifically hunt for grants for small cities or big cities?
So the way this happened, we're aware of the grants that are coming up. There's cycles, and they come up every year for different agencies. The Water Development Board has a program where you submit a notice of interest every year, and we submit that on your behalf every year. What they did this year when they created this new pool of money, they took that list, which was really for a different program, but all the ones that they considered water loss eligible projects, they shifted them to this new program. And so, to answer your question, they're pretty standard every year. There's a slew of different programs that provide funding, and we're aware of them, and staff is aware of most of them as well. And so we just keep an eye on them every year and let you know when those come up.
So we can apply, but there's no guarantee we're going to get it, right?
That's right.
So this is just like any grant, you're competing with other cities.
Right. This may be the 4th year we've done this for you guys.
Okay.
And this year you fell
Okay.
into it, right?
So we have nothing to lose
Right.
at this point.
Exactly right.
If we go ahead and apply. It's not costing anything except for what we paid you.
That's correct. So, no, there's no cost to you at all.
Yeah.
Once the application is reviewed and approved, then there will be another resolution that council will have to adopt,
Okay.
accepting the funding.
Okay.
And at that point, you're committing to use
Then you're
it.
committed. Okay.
So now, when you get the grants, correct? You let council know what's going on with that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I need to know. We don't want to say, that's it, thank you.
There's one thing I wanted to make sure was clear, so the discussion about what it can be used for. So it is substantially a water loss mitigation project, so water line replacements essentially. The application that they rolled over into this new pool of money, actually, the application, not the application, but the notice of interest we submitted had about 14,000 feet of water line replacement, but it also had a new well and pumping improvements and things that would go along with that. So it's pretty wide open right now as far as what you do use it for. That'll have to be determined in the fairly near future, but it could all be for water line replacements, or you could put it toward a well as well if you wanted to. That's an eligible cost since it was part of the project that was submitted.
So this doesn't do anything to do with the streets, though. So if our lines are replacing in the middle of a street, we're having to come up with money to fix the street after we dig this line up, right?
They will pay for the repair over the line, whatever damage is done to the street in
Okay.
order to replace the line, that would be covered. But the entire street would not.
Okay, but it will be covered at least to cover it up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll
Okay,
repave the road over the they disturbed.
Okay.
Okay, and then just final one. So how long, if we apply, okay, we have already applied, so how long will it take if you were to be approved for us to be able to get the grant?
So to get an approval of the application is typically about a 60-day process. I will tell you that this program, because they're pushing it, they're moving it pretty fast. I mean, that's why we had to submit it so quickly. But it's typically about a 60-day process to get the application approval. Once you get that approval, then you have to close a loan. So as I said, you'll have to adopt, council will have to act on accepting the money. Then it has to go to the Attorney General for approval, and that typically is 30 to 45 days. And so 3 to 4 months before you actually have money to spend.
So when did you actually send it in then? The deadline was
Yeah.
October 21st, but when did you send it in?
The application?
Yeah, the application.
We put it in on the deadline.
On the date,
The date of
October
the deadline.
21st? Okay.
But council don't have anything to do with the grants. You have everything done, is that correct?
Well, I'm not certain I know what you mean, but the
Who-
council, once, other than acting on accepting or denying the money.
Correct, I understand that. But what I'm trying to say, the grant being written would be by you guys, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Thanks.
All right, council, do you have any other questions? This sounds like a good deal to us, I mean, to me.
I move that council approve resolution number 2024-458, authorizing the submittal of an application for financial support from the Texas Water Development Board, TWDB, for water systems improvements.
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve resolution number 2024-458, authorizing the submittal of an application for financial support from the Texas Water Development Board, TWDB, for water system improvements by Foster and a second by Gutwa. Any further questions on the motion? All in favor, raise your hand. It's unanimous. Motion is carried. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item number 7B, review, discuss, and consider setting a date for a special called city council meeting to canvass the vote of the November 5, 2024 City of Keene general and special elections result. Okay, Holly, you want to speak to this?
Yes, Council. The Secretary of State allows the cities to canvass an election 3 days after the election, up to 14 days after the election. However, certain things must happen before we can canvass. We will not receive, I've been told we will not receive the official counts from the elections office until close of business of November 14th. So that would allow us to canvass anytime between the 15th and the 19th. And I'm just requesting that you select a date and time that is convenient for you and the candidates to meet and canvass both the general election and special election for the charter amendments.
Okay, you'll receive them on the 14th, you think?
That is what I've been
So if we had a meeting the evening of the 14th, which was next Thursday, we could maybe do that? Would that be cutting it too close?
I am hesitant just in case,
Okay.
worst case scenario, that I don't get them, but
Okay,
I've been told the ballot board meets on the 13th, and it will take the day of the
Okay.
14th for the staff to get all the paperwork.
so that might be pushing it. We don't want to call a meeting and not have them available. All right, council, I was going to recommend that we have them possibly either, we could do Monday, the 18th of November, or Tuesday, the 19th. And that is the first week that the city manager will be here. And we could just call the special meeting just to canvass the vote. And then after that, maybe have a small reception for the new members so the public could come and meet them, and also for Mr. Seitz, so people could meet him as well. And then we'll still be holding our meeting on the 21st.
And just add, not that you need me at that meeting. 'cause
No,
it's
we
the
don't.
canvassing, but that Tuesday I have another council meeting. So
Okay.
if for some reason you wanted me at the meeting or needed me at the meeting,
Okay.
then Monday would be the better. But
don't-
it's routine. It's
Okay.
hard to imagine you would need me.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we've done this before, so. All right, council, what do you think? Which date works better for you guys?
Let's do it on Monday.
Do it on Monday, the 18th? Okay. Can everybody be available Monday, the 18th? 6 PM, our normal time? Okay, Monday, the 18th.
And the law is one of the rare instances where you don't actually have to have a quorum to canvass.
We don't?
So if somebody came, now, actually, just 2 members can do it.
2 members.
So, yeah, I mean, the law was written in that way in case you have a majority of the council that's changing over and they're disgruntled and they don't want to show up and, you know, whatever. I mean, I've never seen it happen, but that's the way the law is written.
Okay.
So if somebody had a conflict and couldn't make it, it wouldn't be mission critical like normally losing. a
Okay,
quorum
2
of one.
members not counting the mayor.
Right.
Okay.
Got a question for you, Mayor. Are you going to swear in the new members that night?
Holly and I were talking about that. I told her we could do it either way. I guess we'll just do it in-house and not call the judge to come in and do it. We could have the judge here. Holly could swear me in, I can swear the other members in, or Holly can swear everybody in, however she wants to do it.
So you don't have to be present to do that?
Do I not have to do what now?
Do all the members have to be present to?
Well, we'll do the canvassing, and if they're present, they can be sworn in, and if not, we can swear them in at the next meeting or privately. It doesn't have to be done at that meeting if they're absent. We can do it at a later date. And I just have to be a public notary, and I am, so you just have to be a notary in order to swear in members. I just renewed mine for the next 4 years, so I'm good. Okay, so we don't need to make a motion. Should we make a motion? Just says just consider setting a date. Can we just give direction to staff? Do we need Mr. Brown, do we need a motion or anything? No? Okay. Okay, Monday, the 18th, 6 PM.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
will those new members be seated for the 21st meeting?
Yes, so we'll do the canvassing on the 18th, and then, yes, the new members will come in on the 21st.
Okay, so they'll
That's
have their
when they'll-
packets and everything?
Yeah, and that's when they'll take, so the 18th will be the last for the outgoing members. Okay, moving on then, agenda item number 7C, review, discuss, and consider adopting a resolution as required by the state of Texas prohibiting the use of certain social media applications and services on devices owned or leased by the city. Is this something you want to discuss too again? Okay.
Yeah, this came to our attention through the Texas Municipal League that we needed to either pass a resolution or policy, but we chose resolution since there were a few elected officials with devices that are owned by the city as well as staff. So it will go into the personnel policy if adopted, or it should be adopted. The staff does require that there's certain technologies and programs, apps, a list of which has been provided to you that need to be prohibited from those devices. And should the council wish to, if we had the technology, it could be blocked through the Wi-Fi network channel. But the most important part is that they stay off of the devices the city pays for.
Okay.
The backstory on this is that there's a perception that TikTok, because of substantial Chinese ownership, that somehow they might be able to take access to proprietary or confidential information that not that you're going to post it on TikTok, but if you have it on your phone or your computer and you're doing something confidential, that the TikTok program could somehow spy on it. There doesn't seem to be validating proof of that, but it's one of the things the legislature is concerned about, so it's something that we need to do.
Okay. All right, council, any questions on this?
Mayor, I move that council approve resolution number 2024-460 as required by the state of Texas, prohibiting the use of certain social media applications and services on devices owned or leased by the city.
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve resolution number 2024-460 as required by the state of Texas, prohibiting the use of certain social media applications and services on devices owned or leased by the city, by Foster, and a second by Easley. Any further discussion on this motion?
Holly, how many devices is this?
I think most of like Public Works have devices that they use when out in the field. Top administration, most of us have, like I have a city cell phone.
Yeah.
I would say probably 20-ish.
There was a list of them on there, I think, that was the prohibited ones.
Oh, I
I
don't
think
have
it was
that.
in here.
I'm sorry, you were asking about city devices, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I guess I don't have what you have.
okay.
So just curious, how are we going to know?
I'm sorry?
How would we know if they got on TikTok or?
That would be I guess, an HR question to develop a policy on monitoring that, but otherwise, we do not have any kind of, I guess, blocking feature on those devices or monitoring feature. We don't. It's an honor system at this point.
Yeah, most of my cities have prepared like an email they send all the employees. Some of them even gone far as formal as to make an actual amendment to to their personnel policies, HR rules. I think the most important thing is just to get the word out somehow to everybody. As far as whether they follow it or not, I mean, to a great degree, it's kind of an honor system. You're not really going to know that unless you confiscate somebody's phone or laptop and have to see what's on it.
And then, oh, you can go ahead.
Does the city not maintain the installation security password?
For each device?
Yes. I know Apple's really strict about that. I don't know if they're Apple or Android.
I believe recently when we updated, most of us did give, Kit was in charge of getting those devices switched out for us, that we did give her our passwords to, our lock screen passwords to get
Well,
in.
but there's a password on the application installation. When you go to install a new app, you have to put your password in
For the App Store.
for the App Store. That should be retained by the city, not by the employee. So they can't install a new app without the city doing that. That'd be a way to secure it.
True.
Yeah, you should probably visit with your IT people. I know that some of the cities, they just, at least on city, when you're using the city Wi-Fi, the city internet or something like that, that it, there's certain things that are just prohibited, it blocks. You can't download it, you can't access it. They can add these programs as blacklisted programs and keep you from doing it. It's more difficult if somebody has their own private phone that they use for city business, because then you don't have the same amount of direct control over that.
Correct.
And then I was just going to ask almost something similar to what you said. Most companies or organizations, when you are on your personal phone and you are at a working environment or like the city hall, some organizations do normally allow the public to have like a public Wi-Fi access. Do we have that option in Keene?
We do have a guest Wi-Fi here at City Hall. It does have a password, which if asked, we give it. But as for city devices and our city mobile devices, we connect to a different, more secure Wi-Fi. It's
Okay.
separate from the guest.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions or discussion?
You taking notes, Jonathan?
All right, we have a motion on the floor by Foster to approve resolution number 2024-460 as required by the state of Texas, prohibiting the use of certain social media applications and services on devices owned or leased by the city, seconded by Easley. All in favor, raise your hand. It's unanimous, motion is carried. Agenda item number 7D, discuss and consider the need to appoint a single city attorney. All right, this agenda item was requested by Councilmember Johnson. Did you want to open the discussion on this?
I got it.
Okay. Okay.
Why we got two, and it don't make no sense when we got somebody sitting right over there smarter than the other one. And you guys could think what you want, but that man right there would take the job, I'm sure, if we could afford him over Pat. But I mean, there have to be the other council to come in and do that, but
No.
he's a lot smarter than Pat. So,
All right, well, you got a
we need to
compliment.
just one if we're
Well,
paying two.
Yeah, I
It's
don't, I
kind of
mean,
stupid.
You got a
I
compliment.
appreciate the
Mr. Brown.
compliment. I don't claim to be smarter than Pat. I agree, in a perfect world, it'd be nice to have the same lawyer that's doing your work to be the lawyer that could be at your meetings. I understand Pratt's in Brownsville, or so he's
Brownwood.
Brownwood, a little bit. That's probably 130, 140 miles from here. But I would just say that, with all due respect, I think it's probably premature to have this kind of discussion, as you got 3 new council members coming on board, and you got a new city manager coming on board. So even if this council right now was to vote and say, we want you to be the full-time city attorney, I wouldn't even take it, because it's like, you've got 3 new council members coming on board and a city manager. They need to be involved in that discussion. So once you get your new folks in place and you get your new manager in place, if that council feels that it's appropriate to have that discussion and they want to visit with me about maybe being the full-time city attorney, I'll be glad to have that discussion. And I appreciate Mayor Pro Tem Johnson thinking of me in that, but I just think it's it's probably a little premature to have that discussion now when considering that the people who ultimately are gonna have to live with the decision, most of them aren't in the room tonight, so.
But the question is, do we want a lawyer who's professional, or do we want one unprofessional?
Well, we have two
That's the way I
professional,
feel.
we have two professional lawyers.
Okay, that's what you call the other one, that's fine, but I don't call him professional.
No, he is.
That's
He's-
my opinion.
He's a licensed attorney in the state of
shut up.
Texas. He's professional. I make a motion that we table this until the new council is set.
Second?
No, go ahead. Foster.
I have a question.
You have something to say, Ray? You're welcome to come over here and say it in my face. Oh, you want to take it out, you want to take it outside? That's your modus operandi.
We're not gonna do that, guys.
Okay, come on, guys. All right, so we have a motion on the floor to table this discussion item to consider the need to appoint a single city attorney until the new council comes in, by Easley and a second by Beeson. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion is carried. It's unanimous. All right, we do not have an executive session on the schedule tonight, so we do not need to reconvene under number 9. Number 10, request for future agenda items.
I have one.
Yes, sir?
Review P and Z members.
Review
Review the P and Z members.
Okay, members, okay. All right, anything else, council?
I do.
Yes, sir?
I'd like to have staff tell us what kind of early warning systems we have here in town, other than just the one up on the tower, the water tower. There are other sirens around town which are not working evidently. So I'd like to get a review of the whole system.
A review of the early, okay. A review of our early warning sirens system. Okay?
Yeah. I have a question here.
Yes, sir.
Regarding the first item, you said review P and Z members.
Yes, sir.
I think that, we are not discussing it, but I think there are bylaws that they can be able to determine what happens if there are some members who will be able to either resign from their positions. So we don't need even to discuss how they're going to govern themselves.
No, it's.
What kind of review are you wanting?
There is members that are absent
Okay,
and not attending, they need to be relieved, and then new ones need to be appointed or found. Plus, we're also losing the chairman of the P and Z.
okay. All right, anything else, council? It's 6:37 PM, meeting is adjourned.